And that much I have to say. But I'm Hawaiian, went to an all-girls Catholic school with nuns. I was called, and my fellow Hawaiians, fat bags of poi and lazy Kanakas. And I think from that raising, I was there from kindergarten to 12th grade. By the time I was in high school, I was challenging them because they told us, question authority. When I started questioning them, they didn't like it. They were nuns. Weren't they supposed to love Christian values and all that? But yet we were stigmatized. And in those days, there was the Quebecs, Cubies, and the ones that had to go voc ed. Guess where most Hawaiians were? In voc ed. But in many cases that I've heard from you, there was a choice made to come to America for the better life. We didn't have a choice. We had to make as much as we could with what we had. Eventually, you're going to have to toughen up, guys. And those arrows are going to have to bounce off. And then you're going to have to ku'e for your own cause. We can help you, but that's the reality of life. Okay? And who's ever bullying you in law school, let me know. Okay? Because in my days, we didn't have scholarships. My parents couldn't afford to send 6 kids to college. Today, you guys have that privilege. But I dare anybody take that privilege away from you for an education and any form of discrimination, because that is not what we're about. And I can bet you some of them are Hawaiian. I can bet you that. So you put it back in their face, okay? That much. I want to see you guys in 10 years, if I'm still around. I want to see all this stuff fall off. And I want to see you guys achieve what your dreams are, because your parents have made the choice to leave their homelands to come to America. We love it. We're Hawaii. To make a better life for you.
Mahalo.
Mahalo, sister. I wasn't going to say anything at this conference, but after hearing your stories, I couldn't help but feel that as an elder in this gathering, I think the most responsible thing for me to do is to contribute to the discussion, to perhaps put us in the perspective of history and give you hope and say, there is hope. Things have changed a lot since I arrived in Hawaii almost 30 years ago. And I'm very excited that there are more of us sitting up here and sitting around here. But perhaps what we need to talk about now, having told our stories, is look for solutions of how we can get out. We can create a space that's much more comfortable and much more embracing for future generations of Filipinos, Samoans, Turkeys, and other Pacific Islanders coming to Hawaii. One of the things that you need to think about is the politics of color in this state. Okay, I don't know if you've been following the Black experience on the mainland and how they are addressing the politics of color, because maybe what we have not included, whether by choice or whether we feel that we cannot do it, is that we look at this state and its multicolors, and then, you know, see who is doing, right? Who is creating more painful spaces for everybody coming in, because, you know, except for the haole that came with the plantation, everybody else has similar experiences. They've told their story. I think the sad thing is those that came before us have forgotten that pain. Yeah, and then when they become localized, they forget the pain. They don't want to be recognized with the ancestors as much anymore, and therefore continue the colonialism. Isn't that what they call neocolonialism? That's not so much now the Palangi that does it, but ourselves. Yeah? Okay, so for your generation, I'm so excited to see you involved. Jeff, whenever you want to run for governor, you let me know. You know, I'll be one of the voices getting you up there. Okay? So I'm not sure I'm making sense anymore, but there is hope. Things have gotten better a lot. And with more of us getting educated, getting PhDs, like this old lady, I got mine, you can get yours. And with that, you will be able to have a voice and not so much as skunking a kinga or choke each other's necks with the PhDs, but say we all rise up together, okay? We share our knowledge. It's possible to have, you know, universities in the languages that we bring in, but we make it open to everyone. You familiar with Paulo Freire? Okay? So let's take his message and drive it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
And you, I'm not that old.
Thank you.
If I may quickly add something to that, one of the projects that I've been working on here through my master's program has been to really reach out to the elementary schools and reconceptualize the idea of education for our immigrants. I don't know if you had the experience of going through schooling here locally or to have the opportunity to step into a school, but the current ESL programs that we had for arriving immigrants are quite harsh. They do diminish the native languages and first languages of our communities, and they impose on them this English ideology that you have to speak English and only English in order to survive and to make it. And I think part of that is, you know, reaching out and making them realize that we live in a global society today, a society that needs more than one language. And allowing our students to be empowered through their first language and native language, through their education, developing the identity that they were born with as they acquire English, I think is ideal. So I've been trying to do that, trying to work with different politicians. We actually are moving the Cielo by Literacy through the state senate at the moment and trying to work through a lot of different avenues. I'm about to begin a project out at Waipahu, working with parents, developing literacy in those first languages and things like that. So I'm thankful for that reminder that we do need to start taking action. And I think we might start action in our own little pockets, because I did hear of different things being started from the rest of my colleagues up here. But I think the next step will be to inform everybody else of those projects that we're working on, so we can get that going somehow, you know, to just let people know that we are trying to improve the the way that immigrants are perceived and the way that they are valued. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, going off on what Sam said, I think that's what's really remarkable about our panelists, is that they all actively participate in spaces that, you know, I know Nadine mentioned are colonized spaces, or spaces of colonizers. And, you know, I know with Lika, she led the in-state tuition push for Pacific Island students, and with Gabby and Mahe, they're leading the Aloha Dream Team here in Hawaii to create leadership for immigration reform that comes out from our youth here in Hawaii. Nadine being at the law school, and Jeff also, you know, inspiring people wherever he goes with his story, and I know he does a lot of work here at the school and in outside spaces in the community, and Sam with his work with second language studies. And I think that's something we should take, is that it's not just about the stories, and sometimes the stories can be very heavy, but it's about the agency that comes out of those stories that's really remarkable. And so as we briefly explored today, migration comes in all genders and faces and experiences. It is not to be misunderstood as a single generic story that we often get through the news and through media. And in our island home and at our university system, our migrants are an essential living part of our community. Whether that's dreamers or scholars, a part of our workforce, our friends and family. Lots of times, you know, undocumented people, they live in the shadows. We don't know who is undocumented and who isn't. You can't tell when you see somebody. That's, you know, that's a whole point of breaking those stereotypes as well. And it's important for us to not allow for our migrant community here in Hawaii to continue to live in the margins of society, and for us to really work to create spaces where we can have more of these stories and more of this agency. And I want to especially take the time to thank the Ethnic Studies Department for putting on this conference and for allowing so many of us to have the spaces to have our voices heard for the last 45 years. And we want to thank everybody who coordinated this event, so students, faculty, staff, the Aloha Dream Team, the Ethnic Studies Student Association, TASSO, and FOS, Micronesian Connections. But most of all, we want to thank our panelists for having the courage to fight for their communities and to be vulnerable, as Jeff said, and open up and speak about their stories. So thank you so much for doing that. And if April could guide us to the next slide on our presentation. So we do actually have things that are being put into action right now in reference to immigration reform here in Hawaii, and things we can do to support our panelists. So one of them would be to follow and like the Hawaii Dream Team on Facebook. If anybody has further questions about that, you can also talk to Gabby and Mahe after the conference to see if you would like to be a part of that leadership and establishing an immigration reform that comes out of our youth here in Hawaii. There's also currently a bill that's going through the legislature, known as HB 1007 and SB 683. It'll provide accessible driver's licenses to undocumented people here in Hawaii, and it's actually called the Safe Drivers Act, so it'll make our roads safer in general. And if you want to follow that or submit testimony in favor of that, you can go ahead and find that online. You can also talk to Gabby or Mahe, and April I know is here as well. She's very knowledgeable about those bills. And then another thing is to support Pacific Island student efforts, and I know Lika will be here 10 minutes after the conference as well. We're all going to be right outside if you want further information about that or to sign up for mailing lists. And finally, we also have the Hawaii Coalition for Immigration Reform, which provides a lot of DACA and DAPA workshops. I know that that's one of the ways that Gabby was able to be a part of this movement. And they're also on Facebook, and you can find them and like them on Facebook. Thank you so much to everybody, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend and continue to enjoy of these awesome presentations and these awesome spaces.